cheap budget gaming rigs look great on a price check, but the moment you load a modern AAA title they start choking, stuttering, or overheating. That feeling of buyer's remorse is why a lot of people sit on the fence before splurging on a pre-built tower. The question is whether the Aurora R14 with liquid cooling actually saves you from that disappointment or just adds another line item to the bill. Link is in the description if you want to check the product details on Amazon. I've spent the last couple of weeks running the Aurora through the kind of daily grind most gamers experience, a mix of long-form streaming sessions, a couple of 4K esports titles, and the occasional VR deep dive. What you'll hear from me isn't a glossy spec sheet, it's the noise level when the fans spin up, the heat you feel on the side of the case after an hour of battle, and how often you'll need to pause to let the system settle. First off, the liquid cooling system is the most noticeable upgrade over the typical air-cooled Alienware models. In practice, it means the GPU and CPU stay in a tighter temperature window during marathon raids, which translates into more consistent frame rates. I tested it on a 2-hour Cyberpunk 2077 marathon at high settings. The clock speeds barely dipped, and the fan curve stayed relatively flat. For people who stream their gameplay, that stability can be a lifesaver because sudden throttling shows up as stutter on the broadcast. The storage layout is another real-world convenience. A 1TB SSD sits alongside a 2TB HDD, giving you a fast launch drive for the OS and a roomy library for larger game installs. In my own setup, I kept the OS and my favorite titles on the SSD, while the HDD handled less frequent games and media. The result was a near-instant boot time and no need to constantly shuffle files around, something you rarely get with a single drive pre-built. Now, the Aurora isn't just about raw horsepower. The chassis has been re-engineered to improve airflow while still looking sleek enough to sit on a living room shelf. The front panel opens without a screwdriver, which is a small but welcome detail when you want to add an extra drive or swap out a RAM stick. That said, the case is still on the larger side, so you'll need a decent amount of floor space. It's not the kind of tower you can easily tuck under a cramped desk. One of the hidden trade-offs with this machine is the power draw. The RTX 3080 and Ryzen 9 combo sips a lot of electricity, and while the supplied 850W PSU is sufficient, you'll see a noticeable bump in your electric bill if you're gaming every night. It's a realistic cost to consider, especially if you're budgeting for other accessories like a high-refresh monitor or a quality headset. Who should buy the Aurora R14? If you're a serious gamer who wants to jump straight into 1440p or 4K titles without fiddling with custom builds, this desktop gives you that out-of-the-box experience. It also appeals to creators who need a solid GPU for video editing or 3D rendering. The liquid cooling keeps the system quiet enough to record audio without picking up fan whine. On the flip side, casual players who mostly stick to indie games or older titles will probably find the price disproportionate to their needs. They could get a cheaper air-cooled system and still have a perfectly smooth experience. Practical strengths are easy to pinpoint. The most obvious is the consistent thermal performance thanks to the closed-loop cooler. I never heard the GPU fan ramp into a scream, even during intensive ray-traced sessions. The dual-drive storage layout eliminates the wait for install frustration, and the upgradable chassis means you won't feel boxed in after a year or two. The pre-installed Windows 11 Home also spares you the hassle of a clean install, and the USB-C port provides a modern connectivity option for fast external storage or a secondary display. On the downside, the machine size can be a logistical pain in smaller apartments. The liquid cooling loop, while effective, adds a layer of complexity. If you ever decide to replace the GPU, you'll need to drain the loop or risk spilling coolant. Also, the price point sits higher than many comparable DIY builds, which means you're paying a premium for the brand name and the convenience of a pre-assembled system. Finally, the included 10-year warranty, though not something I can verify here, often comes with service fees that can add up if you need a component replacement outside of the basic coverage. If you're on the fence because you've heard stories of cheap pre-builts that become paperweights after a few months, think of the Aurora as an attempt to bridge that gap, a ready-to-play machine that still respects the demands of modern titles. It won't make you a pro gamer overnight, but it does.